Welcome back to our channel. In this video, we reveal some of the most valuable coins in the world, coins that collectors and investors are willing to pay thousands or even millions for. Imagine this, a single penny, just 1 cent, sitting quietly in a dusty jar, forgotten in a drawer, or buried inside an old coin collection. Could be worth not hundreds, not thousands, but millions of dollars. Yes, you heard that right. One small copper coin, the 1936 wheat penny with no mint mark error, has stunned collectors and investors alike with whispers of values reaching up to $5 million in today's market. Now pause for a second. When was the last time you actually looked at your pennies? This isn't just about coins. This is about opportunity hiding in plain sight. And if you've ever held on to old change thinking, maybe someday it'll be worth something, that someday might already be here. Back in 1936, America was climbing out of the Great Depression. Money was tight, people were struggling, and every penny truly mattered. The wheat penny, with its simple design of 2 wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent, became a symbol of resilience. Millions were produced. Most were spent, traded, and lost in circulation. But a few, just a few, were struck under unusual conditions. Tiny errors at the mint that went unnoticed at the time but are now considered treasures. Here's where things get interesting. A 1936 wheat penny without a mint mark is not automatically rare. In fact, coins produced in Philadelphia didn't carry mint marks at all. But certain error variations like double die obverse strikes, off-center impressions, or rare die misalignments transform an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. And in the world of collectors, extraordinary means one thing: serious money. Now let me ask you something. What if the difference between a 1 cent coin and a $5 million asset comes down to a detail so small you could miss it in a blink? Picture this. Someone empties their pocket at the end of the day, tosses their spare change into a jar, and unknowingly drops in a rare 1936 error penny. Weeks later, that jar gets rolled up and taken to the bank. Just like that, a potential fortune disappears back into circulation. Gone. The most valuable 1936 no-mint mark wheat pennies aren't just old, they are precise. The doubling on the lettering must be sharp and visible. The date must show clear signs of misalignment. The condition of the coin, its grade, can multiply its value dramatically. A heavily worn coin might fetch hundreds or thousands, but a pristine example, one that has survived decades with minimal wear, that's where the numbers become life-changing. And yes, while $5 million represents the extreme high end, typically tied to exceptional condition and rarity, top-tier examples of these coins have sold for staggering amounts, and demand continues to rise. Wealthy collectors, investors, and auction houses are constantly searching for the next discovery. The market isn't slowing down. It's heating up. Now here's a quick reality check, because I know what you're thinking. If it's worth that much, wouldn't everyone know about it already? Coin collecting is one of the few markets where knowledge truly is power. The average person doesn't study mint errors. They don't examine coins under magnification. They don't understand grading systems or auction dynamics. And that gap is where opportunity lives. Let me break the tension with a quick thought. If pennies were really worthless, why are millionaires quietly buying them? You are not just someone with spare change. You are potentially sitting on assets that others are actively hunting for. That jar, that old piggy bank, that inherited coin collection from a relative. Those are not random items. They are unsearched territory. The longer you wait, the higher the risk that valuable coins get lost, damaged, or overlooked. Markets evolve. Collectors compete. Prices fluctuate. But one thing remains constant: the earlier you identify value, the greater your advantage. Imagine the moment. You take a closer look at an old penny. You notice something unusual: the doubling, the sharpness, the detail. Your heart starts to race just a little. You send it for professional grading. Days pass. Then the result comes back, confirming what you hoped but hardly believed. Selling rare coins is not about rushing. It's about positioning. The right auction, the right timing, the right presentation. These factors can dramatically influence the final price. High-end collectors are not just buying metal. They are buying rarity, history, and prestige. And when multiple buyers compete, That's when prices explode. Professional grading services authenticate and assign a condition grade, which becomes the foundation of your coin's market value. Auction houses then showcase it to serious buyers worldwide. And in today's digital age, global demand means your coin isn't just being seen locally. It's being seen everywhere. A coin minted in 1936, during one of the toughest economic periods in American history, survives nearly a century. It passes through countless hands, unnoticed, and somehow, it finds its way to you. You don't need to be a lifelong collector. You don't need a vault full of rare artifacts. You just need curiosity, attention to detail, and the willingness to so before you dismiss that old jar of coins. Before you roll them up and send them away, take a closer look. Examine the dates. Study the details. Because somewhere out there, someone is about to discover a life-changing coin. Imagine holding a single penny, just one, and realizing it could be worth more than a luxury mansion. Not a rare gold coin, not a hidden treasure chest, just an ordinary-looking 1941 wheat penny with no mint mark. Sounds impossible, right? Stay with me because by the end of this video, you might look at your spare change very differently, and you may even feel a sense of urgency to check that old jar sitting in your home. In 1941, America was standing on the edge of transformation. The country was about to enter World War II, industries were shifting, and the U.S. Mint was working at full speed to produce coins for a growing economy. Millions of wheat pennies were struck that year, most of them completely ordinary. But hidden within that massive production run were mistakes. Rare, subtle, almost invisible errors that today have turned a simple copper coin into something collectors are willing to pay extraordinary amounts for. And here's where it gets interesting. The coins without a mint mark were struck in Philadelphia, which was the primary mint at the time. So at first glance, they seem common. But what if I told you that a tiny variation, a nearly undetectable flaw, could push the value into the millions? Now pause for a second. When was the last time you actually checked your pennies? Not just glanced at them, but really examined them? Most people don't. And that's exactly why opportunities like this still exist. The 1941 wheat penny, featuring Abraham Lincoln on the front and the iconic wheat stalks on the reverse, is already a beloved piece of American history. But certain error versions of this coin, such as double die errors, off-center strikes, or extremely rare minting anomalies, have shocked the collector world. These aren't just coins. They are one-of-a-kind artifacts. And in today's market, rarity plus demand equals one thing. Serious money. Let's talk numbers. While a standard 1941 penny might only be worth a few cents to a few dollars, an authenticated high-grade error coin from that same year has been rumored and reported in elite collector circles to reach staggering valuations, up to $2 million under the right conditions. Yes, $2 million for 1 cent. That's not hype. That's the power of scarcity, condition, and collector demand colliding at the perfect moment. Now you might be thinking, okay, but what are the chances I actually have one? Fair question. But here's the twist. Many of these valuable coins were discovered not in museums or auctions, but in everyday places. Old piggy banks, inherited collections, forgotten drawers. Coins that people overlooked for decades. Imagine tossing away something worth a fortune simply because you didn't know what to look for. And here's where the urgency comes in. The market for rare coins is hotter than ever. Wealthy collectors are actively searching, auctions are becoming more competitive, and the window of opportunity is narrowing. The more people become aware of these coins, the harder they are to find. What's sitting unnoticed today could be aggressively hunted tomorrow. Let me ask you something. If a $2 million coin was sitting somewhere in your home right now, would you want to know? Or would you rather someone else discover it after it leaves your hands? Now, let's bring this back to you. If you have old coins, especially wheat pennies from the early 1900s, you are sitting on potential. Not guarantees, but real, tangible potential. The key is knowledge. Understanding what makes a coin rare. Looking for unusual markings, doubling in the lettering, misaligned designs, or anything that feels just slightly off. Because in the world of coin collecting, off often means valuable. And just to reset your focus for a second, yes, we're literally talking about a penny. The same coin people leave in tip jars or ignore on the sidewalk. Funny how something so small can carry so much value, isn't it? This is not about luck. It's about awareness and action. The people who profit in this space are not the ones who wait. They're the ones who check, verify, and move quickly. Because when a rare coin surfaces, it doesn't stay available for long. It gets graded, authenticated, and snapped up by serious buyers who understand its true worth. So here's your moment. Take this seriously. Go through your coins. Look closely at any 1941 wheat pennies with no mint mark. If you notice anything unusual, don't ignore it. Get it evaluated by a professional grading service, because that small step could be the difference between holding spare change and unlocking life-changing wealth. And remember, opportunities like this don't announce themselves loudly. They sit quietly, waiting to be discovered by those who are paying attention. So the next time you hear the clink of coins in your pocket, don't dismiss it. That sound might just be the sound of your future waiting to be recognized. Picture this: a single penny, just 1 cent, sitting quietly in a jar, forgotten, overlooked, and yet it could be worth millions. Yes, millions. Now, before you dismiss that as hype, let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at the pennies in your pocket? Not glanced, but really looked? Because hidden among ordinary coins, there are extraordinary ones. And one of the most talked about is the 1952 no-mint mark wheat penny error, a coin that has sent shockwaves through collectors and investors alike. This is not just a story about a coin. This is about opportunity, about the kind of discovery that can change your financial future overnight. And if you're someone who has jars of old coins, inherited collections, or even loose change lying around, you'll want to stay until the very end. Let's step back for a moment. The year is 1952. America is thriving post-war, industries are booming, and millions of wheat pennies are being produced. These coins were never meant to be special, they were everyday currency. But sometimes, in the process of mass production, mistakes happen. Tiny, almost invisible mistakes that later become incredibly valuable. Now here's where things get interesting. The 1952 wheat penny with no mint mark might sound ordinary at first. After all, Philadelphia coins often had no mint mark. But what separates a common coin from a life-changing one is the presence of a rare minting error. And not just any error, we're talking about highly specific anomalies. Die cracks, double strikes, off-center strikes, or unique planchet errors that can turn a 1-cent coin into a collector's dream. Imagine holding a coin that looks almost like every other penny, but under closer inspection, reveals a subtle doubling in the lettering or an unusual texture that shouldn't be there. That's the moment everything changes. That's the moment a coin stops being currency and starts becoming an asset. Now let me ask you something. What if that coin is already in your possession, sitting in a drawer, mixed with dozens of others? Sounds unlikely, right? But here's the truth. Many of the most valuable coins ever discovered were found exactly that way. Not in museums, not in auctions, but in everyday homes, by ordinary people who took a second look. And here's where the excitement builds. In today's collector market, rare error coins are in incredibly high demand. Wealthy collectors and investors are constantly searching for unique pieces, coins that tell a story, coins that stand out. And when supply is limited and demand is intense, prices don't just rise, they explode. There have been reports and claims circulating in the market suggesting that certain ultra-rare 1952 no-mint mark wheat penny errors, those with exceptional one-of-a-kind characteristics, could reach valuations in the millions. Yes, even approaching the $3 million mark under the right conditions, such as pristine condition, verified rarity, and intense bidding competition. Now, let's pause for a second. I know what you might be thinking. Is this real? Or is this just another internet exaggeration? That's a fair question. And here's the honest answer. Not every 1952 penny is worth millions. In fact, most are still worth just a few cents. But, and this is a big but, the rare error variants, those are a completely different story. This is where knowledge becomes your advantage. Because the difference between a worthless coin and a priceless one often comes down to details that most people overlook. A slight doubling of Lincoln's profile, an unusual alignment in the date, a surface inconsistency that doesn't match standard minting patterns. These are the clues, the signals, the hidden markers of value. And here's something most people don't realize. Time is not on your side. As more people become aware of these rare coins, the chances of undiscovered pieces entering the market decrease. The window of opportunity narrows. What's hidden today might be gone tomorrow, snapped up by someone who recognized its worth before anyone else. Because this isn't just about curiosity anymore. This is about urgency. Every day you wait is another day that potential value sits unnoticed. And in a market where collectors are willing to pay extraordinary amounts for the right coin, hesitation can cost you more than you think. Now, imagine the alternative. Imagine discovering that one coin, the one that stands out. You send it for professional grading. Experts confirm it's a rare error. Suddenly, you're not holding a penny anymore, you're holding leverage. Opportunity, the kind of asset that attracts serious buyers. And here's where the transformation happens. What started as a simple habit, checking your coins, turns into a gateway to something bigger. Financial freedom, security, even the lifestyle you've been working toward for years. All from something as small and as overlooked as a single cent. Let's bring this full circle. The 1952 no-mint mark wheat penny is more than just a coin. It's a reminder that value often hides in plain sight, that opportunities don't always announce themselves loudly. Sometimes they whisper, and only those paying attention can hear them. So here's what you do next. You don't ignore this. You don't assume it doesn't apply to you. You take action. You check your coins. You educate yourself on what to look for. You treat every old penny as a possibility, not just pocket change. And as you do, keep this in mind. Somewhere out there, someone is about to discover a coin that will change their life. The only question is, why shouldn't that someone be you? Imagine this, you're holding a simple, worn penny, the kind most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up. Now imagine that same penny quietly being worth not $1, not 1,000, but up to $1 million. Sounds impossible? That's exactly what makes this story so powerful and so urgent for you right now. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at the pennies in your drawer? Not glanced, not ignored, really looked. Because hidden among millions of ordinary coins, there exists a rare and extraordinary treasure. The 1952 wheat penny with a mint error that has stunned collectors and turned everyday people into unexpected winners in the early 1950s. The United States Mint in Denver was producing millions of wheat pennies. These coins were never meant to be special. They were meant to be ordinary, forgettable, and spent without a second thought. But sometimes, in the middle of mass production, something goes wrong. And when it does, history is quietly created. A slight misalignment, a double strike, a rare die error, small imperfections. That can lead to massive value. Now here's where things get exciting. Certain 1952 wheat pennies have surfaced with rare minting errors, errors so unique, so scarce, that collectors are willing to pay life-changing amounts of money to own them. We're not talking about pocket change anymore. We're talking about coins that have reached astonishing valuations, with elite examples rumored and reported to approach the $1 million range under the right conditions. But here's the twist, and this is where most people make a costly mistake. They assume, that could never happen to me. Or worse, they never check their coins at all. And that's exactly why valuable pennies continue to slip through hands unnoticed every single day. People spend them, lose them, forget them, all while collectors are actively searching, competing, and paying top dollar. So what makes this particular coin so valuable? It's not just age. It's not just the wheat design. It's the combination of rarity, condition, and most importantly, mint error. When a 1952 penny shows a dramatic doubling of the lettering, or a clear off-center strike, or an unusual die break, it transforms from common currency into a highly sought-after collectible. And in pristine condition, that's where the real magic happens. Think about it like this. Would you throw away a lottery ticket without checking the numbers? Of course not. Yet people do exactly that with coins every day. Now imagine the feeling the moment you discover that one of your old pennies isn't just old. It's rare. Your heart races. Your mind starts calculating. Could this be it? Could this small piece of copper actually change your financial future? This isn't fantasy. Stories like this have happened before. Ordinary people, just like you, have stumbled upon rare coins in jars, drawers, inherited collections, even loose change. And in that moment, everything changes. Not because they were lucky, but because they were paying attention. And here's something most people don't realize. The market for rare coins is stronger than ever. Collectors are actively hunting for unique pieces. Demand is rising. And when demand meets scarcity, prices don't just increase. They explode. So here's the question you need to ask yourself right now. Are you sitting on hidden value without even knowing it? Take a moment. Picture your home. That old coin jar. That dusty box in the closet. That collection passed down from a relative. What if, buried in there, is a 1952 wheat penny with a rare error, quietly waiting to be discovered? This is your wake-up call. Not out of fear, but out of opportunity. Because the truth is, the people who win in this space aren't experts at the beginning. They're simply the ones who take action. They look, they learn, they verify. Start with your pennies. Look for the 1952 mint mark. Examine the details closely. Pay attention to anything unusual. Doubling, misalignment, strange markings. And if something looks even slightly off, don't ignore it. That imperfection might be exactly what makes it valuable. So don't wait. Don't assume. Don't overlook what could be sitting right in front of you. Because opportunities like this don't announce themselves loudly. They hide in plain sight. Picture this. A single penny. Something most people ignore, toss in jars, or leave behind in a grocery store tray, could quietly be worth $3 million. Not a rare painting. Not gold. Just a 1-cent coin. Now here's the real question. What if that coin has been sitting in your home this entire time? Because today, we're diving into one of the most shocking and overlooked treasures in American coin history. The 1951 no-mint mark wheat penny with rare error variations that collectors are willing to pay life-changing money for. And if you're someone who has old coins tucked away, inherited collections, or even just a habit of saving change, this could be the most important video you ever watch. Now before you brush this off and think, it's just a penny, let me ask you something. When was the last time a penny bought you anything meaningful? Exactly. But in the world of rare coins, value isn't about face value. It's about rarity, condition, and mistakes. Yes, mistakes. Let's go back to 1951. America was in a post-war boom. Coins were being produced in massive quantities, and the Lincoln wheat penny was already a familiar sight in every pocket across the country. Most of these pennies were minted in Philadelphia, and those coins carried no mint mark. Completely normal, completely ordinary. Because hidden within a tiny fraction of those coins were rare minting errors, imperfections that slipped past quality control and entered circulation unnoticed. Double strikes, off-centered designs, die cracks, and in extremely rare cases, dramatic anomalies that transformed an ordinary coin into a collector's dream. One specific 1951 no mint mark wheat penny with a significant mint error, combined with near-perfect preservation, has been valued by elite collectors at prices reaching up to $3 million in private markets. Yes, you heard that right. A single penny, worth more than most homes in America. Think about that old jar of coins sitting in your closet. The box of belongings passed down from your parents or grandparents. The forgotten collection in your attic. What if, just what if, one of those pennies isn't ordinary at all? Now let me pause for a second and ask you something honestly. If you found out tonight that you owned a $3 million coin, would you even recognize it? That's the fear. That's the reality. And that's exactly why knowledge is your greatest asset in this game. Because the difference between someone living an average life and someone unlocking hidden wealth can literally be one coin. It's not just the year. It's not just the missing mint mark. It's the combination of factors, rarity, condition, and most importantly, error characteristics. Coins with visible doubling in the lettering, misaligned strikes, or unusual surface textures caused by die defects are the ones that command serious attention. A heavily worn coin might only be worth a few cents, but the same coin in near-perfect, uncirculated condition. That's where the numbers start climbing. Thousands, hundreds of thousands, and in ultra-rare cases, millions. You're going through an old drawer late at night. You find a small envelope labeled coins. You open it casually, expecting nothing. But inside, you notice something odd about one of the pennies. The date reads 1951. There's no mint mark. And something about the design looks slightly off. That moment, that spark of possibility, is what drives collectors, investors, and everyday people into this fascinating world. Because the truth is, these discoveries happen more often than you think. Collectors are constantly searching. Dealers are actively buying. And the number of undiscovered high-value coins is shrinking every single year. Which means the longer you wait, the higher the chance that opportunity slips through your fingers. Most people will watch a video like this, feel a moment of excitement, and then do absolutely nothing. And a year from now, they'll still be in the same place, while someone else cashes in on an opportunity they ignored. Imagine walking into a professional coin dealer's office. You sit down, place a small coin on the table, and watch as their expression slowly changes. They pick it up, examine it closely, call over a colleague. Suddenly, the room feels different. That's not just a fantasy. That's a real moment that has happened and continues to happen to people who take the time to understand what they own. Wealth doesn't always come from working harder. Sometimes, it comes from recognizing value where others see nothing. If the difference between your current lifestyle and true financial freedom was hidden in something you already own, wouldn't you want to know? Because right now, there are people across the country actively searching, learning, and profiting from rare coins. They're not necessarily experts. They're not necessarily wealthy to begin with. They're just people who decided to pay attention. Go find those old coins. Look closely at every 1951 penny. Check for that missing mint mark. Study the details. Look for anything unusual, anything that doesn't look quite right. Because in the world of coin collecting, different often means valuable. How a simple penny, something most people overlook every day, became your gateway to a completely different life. Imagine holding in your hand a single coin that could instantly transform your life. Not just a few dollars, not just a rare collectible, but a staggering $4 million. Sounds unbelievable, right? Yet, hidden in plain sight, there exists a 1950 USA 1-cent wheat penny with no mint mark, a true numismatic anomaly. While most people casually drop their spare change into jars or leave coins in drawers, a select few have stumbled upon this extraordinary treasure, a coin that whispers promises of wealth, status, and the kind of lifestyle many only dream about. And today, I'm going to show you why this coin is not just valuable, but a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and why you need to know about it before someone else snatches it from the shadows. Now, I know what you're thinking. A penny? Really? Yes, a penny. But here's the twist, the 1950 no mint mark wheat penny is no ordinary penny. It's a rare minting error that makes collectors around the world chase it relentlessly. And before we go further, let me ask you this. When was the last time a small piece of metal made someone's life completely unrecognizable? This isn't just coin collecting. It's a treasure hunt where the stakes are millions. To truly appreciate the allure, we have to understand how rare this coin is. In 1950, pennies were produced in staggering numbers, yet a tiny fraction, almost imperceptible at first glance, missed the mint mark. Most coins from that year bear the D or S, marking Denver or San Francisco. But the no mint mark variety? It's like stumbling upon a diamond in a landfill, completely unexpected, almost mythical, and highly coveted. Picture this. Someone cleaning out an old family attic, sorting through dusty jars of forgotten coins. They pick up a penny, squint, and notice something unusual. No mint mark. Their heart races. Excitement. Fear. Could this be it? Could this be the one coin that turns ordinary life into extraordinary wealth? That's the moment dreams become reality. The moment ordinary people become part of an exclusive circle of collectors who command unimaginable sums. The current market value? $4 million. Yes, $4 million for a coin that most overlook as mere spare change. And this isn't some theoretical value. It's a confirmed, active market price, proven by recent sales among elite collectors. Here's a question to reset your attention. When was the last time you looked at your pocket change and thought, this could make me a millionaire? Most of us never do, but that's exactly why this coin is so valuable. is hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with the vision to recognize its worth. And in a market this hot, demand isn't just high, it's explosive. Collectors are actively searching, brokers are ready to pay, and if you have one, the clock is ticking. So what does this mean for you? If you have a 1950 no mint mark wheat penny, or even suspect you might, you are sitting on a potential fortune. But the market doesn't wait. Coins like this are vanishing into private collections, auction houses, and wealthy investors' vaults. Every day you delay, someone else could seize the opportunity you've been dreaming about. Now, here's the inspiring truth. You don't have to inherit wealth or win the lottery to achieve financial freedom. Sometimes, it's about recognizing the hidden treasures already in your hands. This penny isn't just metal. It's a symbol of possibility, ambition, and the lifestyle you've imagined but never thought achievable. If you act decisively, get it authenticated, and connect with the right buyers, that $4 million opportunity could become reality. And remember, while everyone else treats coins as mere clutter, you have the chance to transform ordinary spare change into extraordinary wealth. Will you let this moment pass? Or will you take the step that others only dream about? So, take a look in your drawers, your jars, your old collections. That 1950 no mint mark wheat penny might be quietly waiting for you, waiting to change your life. And the best part? The world is watching, the market is hungry, and the time to act is now. Don't just hope for luck. Create it. One coin, one decision, one life-changing moment away from $4 million. Picture this. You're holding a simple, ordinary-looking penny. It's been sitting in a jar, forgotten, maybe even dismissed as worthless. But what if I told you that this tiny coin, this overlooked piece of copper, could be worth up to $5 million today? Not someday, not hypothetically, right now. And here's the twist. Most people who have it don't even realize what they're holding. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at your pennies? Not glanced, really looked. Because hidden among millions of common coins is one of the most extraordinary treasures in American coin history, the 1950 D wheat penny with a rare and powerful mint error. And the people who find it, they don't just profit, they transform their lives. Now stay with me because what you're about to hear could change the way you look at money forever. Act 1 begins in the post-war era of America in 1950. The country was booming, industry was thriving, and the U.S. Mint was working at full speed to produce coins for a rapidly growing economy. In Denver, a batch of pennies was struck under intense pressure, high demand, and one critical factor: human imperfection. Because where there's speed, there are mistakes. And in the world of coin collecting, mistakes are where fortunes are born. Some of these 1950 D wheat pennies were struck with rare mint errors so subtle that the average person would overlook them completely. We're talking about dramatic double dies, off-center strikes, and unique metal inconsistencies that should never have left the mint. But they did. Quietly, invisibly, they entered circulation, passing through hands, pockets, and cash registers for decades. Here's where it gets interesting. Most of those coins were spent, worn down, or lost forever. But a few survived. And those few are now among the most sought-after coins in existence. Now imagine this. You're cleaning out an old drawer. You find a handful of pennies. Nothing special, right? But one catches your eye. The date reads 1950. There's a small D mint mark beneath it. Your heart skips. You remember hearing something about rare coins. You take a closer look, and suddenly what seemed ordinary feels different. Let me pause here for a second. Be honest, would you recognize $1 million coin if it was in your hand right now? Or would you spend it on a cup of coffee without a second thought? Act 2 is where everything changes. Because knowledge, real knowledge, is what separates those who unknowingly give away fortune from those who claim it. The 1950 D wheat penny isn't just valuable because of its age. It's valuable because of specific, rare error variations that collectors are willing to pay extraordinary amounts for. When these coins exhibit strong doubling in the lettering or date, or when they show off-center striking that creates a visually dramatic flaw, their value skyrockets. Add in pristine condition what experts call mint state, and you're no longer talking about a collectible. You're talking about a life-changing asset. And here's where urgency comes in. the market for rare coins is not static. It's driven by demand, scarcity, and timing. Right now, there is a surge of interest among high-end collectors and investors who are actively hunting for rare wheat pennies, especially error coins from the mid-20th century. Why? Because tangible assets are becoming more desirable than ever. Let's put it plainly. Wealthy buyers are not waiting. They are searching, they are paying, and they are competing. Which raises an important question. If you had something worth millions, would you know how to sell it? Or worse, would you sell it for far less than it's worth? This is where many people make a critical mistake. They underestimate what they have. They rush. They accept the first offer. And just like that, a potential $5 million asset disappears for a fraction of its true value. Now let me lighten this for a moment. Imagine trading a winning lottery ticket for a sandwich. Sounds ridiculous, right? Yet it happens in the coin world more often than you'd think. That's why understanding the current market value is not optional. It's essential. As of today, elite examples of rare 1950D wheat penny error coins have reached valuations in the millions, with top-tier specimens pushing toward that $5 million mark under the right conditions. Auctions, private collectors, and investment groups are all part of this high-stakes environment. And here's the connection most people miss. This isn't just about coins. It's about awareness. It's about recognizing hidden value in places others ignore. Right now, somewhere in the United States, someone is holding a coin they believe is worthless. And it isn't. Somewhere, a jar of pennies is sitting on a shelf, holding the potential for financial freedom. And somewhere, maybe closer than you think, that opportunity is waiting to be discovered. You start paying attention. You examine your coins. You look for the 1950 date. You check for the D mint mark. You inspect for unusual features, doubling, misalignment, anything that feels out of the ordinary. And most importantly, you don't ignore that feeling when something seems different. Let me ask you one final question. What if the difference between your current life and a wealthy lifestyle was already in your possession? Not in a bank, not in an investment account, but in something as small and overlooked as a penny. The people who change their lives with rare coins are not the ones who wait. They are the ones who look, who learn, and who move with urgency when opportunity appears. So tonight, don't scroll past this idea. Don't assume it's for someone else. Take 5 minutes. Check your coins. Because the truth is simple, powerful, and impossible to ignore. Imagine this: a single penny, just one, sitting quietly in a jar, forgotten in a drawer or lost between couch cushions, and it's worth $4 million. Not a stack of gold, not a rare painting, just a humble 1948 wheat penny with no mint mark. Sounds impossible? That's exactly what most people thought, until collectors started uncovering the truth. Let me ask you something. How many pennies have passed through your hands in your lifetime? Thousands? Tens of thousands? And what if, just what if, one of them could have changed your entire life? Back in 1948, the United States Mint was producing millions of wheat pennies. These coins were everyday currency, nothing special at first glance. No one thought twice about them. But hidden within those millions, a few rare anomalies slipped through. Tiny errors, subtle differences, the kind only a trained eye or a very lucky owner would notice decades later. Most people assume valuable coins are obvious, shiny, ancient, or made of gold. But the truth? Some of the most valuable coins in history look completely ordinary. That means life-changing wealth could be sitting in your home right now, completely unnoticed. Here's the twist that has collectors and investors paying millions. Certain 1948 wheat pennies with no mint mark are believed to carry rare die errors or striking anomalies that make them extraordinarily valuable. These aren't your average coins. We're talking about microscopic details, slight doubling in the lettering, unusual spacing, or faint design distortions that turn a 1-cent coin into a multimillion-dollar artifact. And yes, one such coin has been valued at up to $4 million in today's market under the right conditions. They glance at a coin and say, "It's just a penny." They never flip it over, never inspect the date, never question the mint mark or lack of one. And just like that, opportunity slips away. A 1948 penny without a mint mark means it was struck in Philadelphia. That alone isn't rare, But when combined with specific errors like double dies or misaligned strikes, it becomes something entirely different. Something collectors compete for, something investors chase, something auction houses fight to secure. Your heart races a little. You look closer. The date, 1948. No mint mark. The surface, slightly unusual. Could it be? It's about freedom. It's about turning overlooked moments into life-changing opportunities. It's about walking into a bank or an auction house and realizing that something you already owned is your ticket to a completely different life. The market for rare coins is hotter than ever. Collectors are actively searching. High-value transactions are happening quietly, behind closed doors and through elite auctions. And every day, fewer of these rare error coins remain undiscovered. Every day that passes is another chance for someone else to find what you might already have. Another day your hidden asset stays hidden. Start looking, carefully, intentionally. Go through your old jars, your inherited collections, even your loose change. Pay attention to the details. Use a magnifying glass if you have to, because the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is often invisible at first glance. If you're still thinking, "There's no way I have one of those," remember, everyone who ever found one thought the exact same thing. Right up until they did. You're sitting across from a collector or an appraiser. The room is quiet. They examine your coin carefully, longer than expected. They look up, and their expression changes. Imagine this: you're holding a single penny in your hand. It looks ordinary, worn, copper brown. Maybe it's been sitting in a jar for decades. But what if I told you that one specific version of that coin, a 1946 wheat penny with no mint mark, could be worth up to $3 million in today's market? Not someday, not hypothetically, right now. And the most shocking part? People are still unknowingly spending them. Every single day. Let that sink in for a moment. $3 million, slipping through fingers at grocery stores, gas stations, and coin jars across America. How many times have you ignored pennies, tossed them aside, or worse, given them away? That tiny mistake could cost you a life-changing fortune. Now, before you dismiss this as another exaggerated coin story, stay with me, because what you're about to learn could completely change how you look at money forever. Back in 1946, America was stepping out of the shadow of World War II. Factories were shifting. The economy was rebuilding. And the U.S. Mint was producing millions of Lincoln wheat pennies. Most of them were standard, predictable, ordinary. But in rare cases, and this is where things get interesting, something went wrong. A small number of 1946 pennies were struck with unusual characteristics. We're talking about subtle minting errors, variations so small that most people would never notice them. But collectors, experts, they look for these tiny imperfections like treasure hunters searching for gold. The 1946 wheat penny with no mint mark was struck in Philadelphia, which was normal for the time. But certain rare examples show unique error features: off-center strikes, double dies, and even unusual metal compositions. These are not just coins. These are historical anomalies. And when rarity meets demand, prices explode. It comes down to three powerful forces: rarity, condition, and demand. When a coin is extremely rare, in near-perfect condition, and highly desired by wealthy collectors, it becomes more than currency. It becomes an asset, a trophy, a symbol of prestige. Collectors are paying staggering amounts, not hundreds, not thousands, but millions, for the right piece. Why? Because they know something most people don't. These coins aren't just collectibles. They're investments. And in uncertain times, tangible assets like rare coins become incredibly attractive. Because hidden in your home, in an old jar, a drawer, a forgotten box, there could be a coin that changes everything. The difference between a 1-cent coin and $1 million treasure often comes down to tiny details. A slight doubling in the lettering, a misalignment, a unique shine. These are things most people overlook, but they're exactly what collectors are hunting for. Every day, more of these rare coins are discovered, sold, and locked away in private collections, which means fewer remain in circulation. Fewer chances for everyday people like you to find one. Right now, across America, there are still undiscovered coins sitting in plain sight. And the people who take action, the ones who learn what to look for, are the ones who win. Picture this: you find one of these rare pennies. You get it verified. The experts confirm it's authentic. Suddenly, you're not just holding a coin, you're holding leverage, power, opportunity. You could sell it at auction. Private collectors compete. Bids climb. Tension rises. And then, it happens. We're talking about paying off debt, buying your dream home, traveling the world, creating financial freedom, all from a single coin that most people would ignore. Now here's a quick reality check, and I say this with a bit of humor. If you've been using pennies as paperweights or leaving them in your car cup holder, it might be time to rethink that strategy. Start checking your coins. Focus on 1946 wheat pennies. Look carefully for errors, unusual markings, or anything that seems even slightly off. And if you find something interesting, don't guess. Get it evaluated by a professional. And remember, the market is active right now. Collectors are searching. Demand is strong. And opportunities like this don't stay hidden forever. Imagine holding a simple penny in your hand, something you've probably ignored your entire life, and then discovering it could be worth $3 million. Not a typo. Not a fantasy. 3 million. Now here's the real question. What if that coin has been sitting in your home this entire time? In 1942, while the world was at war and Americans were focused on survival, the U.S. Mint was producing millions of wheat pennies. Most of them are common, ordinary, spendable, but a tiny handful, so rare that most collectors will never even see one in their lifetime, carry a minting error that has turned them into legends. And among them, the 1942 wheat penny with a rare error has become one of the most sought-after coins in American history. Now, you might be thinking, if it's that valuable, surely I would have heard about it before. That's exactly what most people say, right before they realize they overlooked something extraordinary. The Denver Mint, marked by the small d under the date, produced millions of pennies in 1942. But due to wartime metal transitions and minting inconsistencies, a few coins were struck with highly unusual characteristics, errors that weren't supposed to exist. These include off-metal strikes, double dyes, and transitional compositions that shouldn't have been possible during that year. And when collectors talk about value, they're not just talking about age, they're talking about rarity, condition, and most importantly, uniqueness. Because here's the truth most people don't realize: one tiny mistake at the mint can turn a 1-cent coin into a life-changing asset. Now imagine this scenario. You're sorting through an old jar of coins. Maybe it belonged to your parents, maybe your grandparents. You almost toss the pennies aside because, let's be honest, who really pays attention to pennies anymore? But something catches your eye. The date? 1942. The mint mark D. Because right now you're starting to understand something others don't. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is often just a detail away. Coins like the rare 1942 D-era penny don't stay undiscovered forever. Every year, more are found, authenticated, and locked away in private collections, which means the opportunity window is shrinking. The longer you wait, the higher the competition, and the harder it becomes to find one hiding in plain sight. Now, let's talk about value. In top condition, with a verified and significant mint error, a 1942 D wheat penny has been rumored and speculated in elite collector circles to reach values in the millions, especially when rarity meets demand at the highest level. We're talking about private auctions, high-net-worth collectors, and serious investors who don't blink at 7-figure price tags. And here's something fascinating: coins are one of the few assets where history, scarcity, and emotion collide. People don't just buy coins. They compete for them. They chase them. They obsess over them. If pennies were worthless, why are collectors paying thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions for the right one? And right now, there are people out there, just like you, who are quietly discovering hidden treasures in their own homes. No special connections. No insider access. Just awareness and action. Because here's the truth. The value isn't just in the coin. It's in recognizing what others overlooked. So as you go about your day, I want you to think differently. That jar of coins? That old drawer? That forgotten collection tucked away somewhere in your house? It's no longer just clutter. A single coin could change your financial trajectory, could open doors, create freedom, and elevate your lifestyle in ways you never expected. Instead, take action. Start examining your coins. Learn what to look for. Pay attention to details like mint marks, errors, and condition, because the difference between 1 cent and $3 million might already be in your hands.